So this is my first day in Guangzhou, fresh off the 16-hour flight from LA to Hong Kong to here. And we went right into fabric hunting. We went to Zhongda, which is one of the, if not the largest fabric market in the world. And then we went and visited Ju Feng, which is like a super large fabric provider who specializes in color. And it was just one of those days, right? 16-hour flight from LA, right into the action. We hunted fabric all day long. We visited tons of different vendors. And I'm going to break that whole experience down. Why we're visiting fabric and what that means. How actually manufacturing fabric and washing works when you're in somewhere like China. Ju Feng and color and what they do and why that's so interesting. And just exploring one of the most fascinating places on earth. Let's hit it. So just all these shops all up and down these blocks is just fabric, fabric, fabric. All the clothes in here are just for display. They're not actually clothes you can buy, they're just there to show off the fabric. You can get distracted by like a good ass garment, but literally as far as the eye can see is through we're walking, it's just fabric store after fabric store. Alright, one of the largest fabric markets in the world. We're hunting for accessories on the bottom floor. I'm hunting for some interesting fabrics for jackets up on the middle. But whenever you go send somebody to a factory for a reference, or you want to find something similar, what they do is they send people to these to go hunt it down. So we're here hitting some of it ourselves. Alright, so here in the flesh with these 600 RMB mole feet and about 3,000 minimum on the actual amount of buttons or zippers we want to make. But literally we're picking from the references Kenzo, Chrome, but that equates out to like 100, 120 bucks in mold fee, 3,000 minimum. Price will varies on there, but let's say it's 10, 15 cents, and you're cooking, and that's zippers, buttons, whatever it is. It's hard to properly quantify the scale of this place, because like every direction you see, there's just more, and it's just level after level of whatever it is you could humanly desire. All right, so we're here. We got the flannel and pattern vendor, a bunch of towels, things of that nature. Everything has a little bit of texture. Everything's real solid. You can see this kind of work. Even this, I might end up running this as like an overshirt. But we go stall to stall here. You get their card, you get their info. So have them send it to crease. We can stack them all in one place, and you work from there. Alright, so this spot has a bunch of the performance fabrics that are in there, but we're getting a couple meters of a bunch of them to make some samples of, see how they hold up, if they have the same strength as the garments they're referencing. Alright, so what am I actually doing here in China? So I'm here for two things. So for my valuables brand, I'm trying to get most of next year figured out from a material perspective. And then also I have some client projects who are looking for specific materials for things that they're making. So let's talk a bit about what material and fabric means and why. So when you hire someone to make your stuff, whether you hire them in Turkey or you hire them in China or wherever it ends up being to make it, they have to get their material from somewhere. And there's two types of manufacturers we'll talk about: large manufacturers and small manufacturers. Small manufacturers handle cutting, sewing, finishing, and then finding all the stuff that you need. So when you retain a small manufacturer to make stuff for you and you need to garment for whatever hoodie it is, they're going to go find that material and buy it from somebody. Then they're actually going to cut it and sew it. And they're probably going to take it to a third party to wash it, so they will wash like this hoodie here, and then to print on it. In some cases, they may do one or both of those things in-house to some capacity. And you get to larger manufacturers might do some of that in-house as well. They often don't do everything. A lot of them don't make their own fabric, if not most of them. And you also don't necessarily want them all to be doing it in one place. I'll talk about this a little later when we get to Ju Feng, who we visited. Quick context on this. So Ju Feng makes tons and tons of fabric, one of the biggest fabric providers in the world, one of the best at it. And when they provide you fabric, based on the fabric, they give you wash house recommendations. So they say, hey, if you get this terry, use these wash houses. If you get this cotton blend, use these wash houses, because they know that certain people do certain things better. And then also they have options for that. Hey, if you can do high MOQ, use these people. If you be able to go low MOQ, use these people. So when you're getting something manufactured, it is an amalgamation of all these things. So say you just go look up a manufacturer on Alibaba and you hire them to do something, they're going to go get the fabric for you. They're going to go cut and sew it. They're going to go screen print it through somebody else, etc. And your job as someone who's making stuff is to make sure that that goes as good as you want it to. So with my manufacturer, Crease Group, who I'm here with, they've crushed some things, right? The t-shirts that we have are amazing. The hats that we have are amazing. They got all the materials I looked for. I specified really certain materials in reference. But hoodie-wise, we haven't gotten to exactly where I want to go yet. And so we're going to go hunt down that fabric and work together as a team to get there. And then we have these more complex garments we're doing, these mechanics jackets and a few other items where I really want to find the most interesting materials. And so I don't have a vision I can explain to them. Like, here's this tech pack, give me this thing. It's more like, hey, let's go hunt. And that's a really fun experience to be able to do as a brand owner, is go hunt down interesting things you can find yourself. So when you do this, we explore all these stalls, and they all have different types of fabric. And this is literally like an absolutely enormous megaplex of fabric. And they have everything from, everything you can imagine. And they have imports. Like, we had one whole section that was just stuff from Italy and Japan. And when you find stuff that you like, there's a certain quantity you can buy. So when you looked at all that stuff we were looking at that was like very Stone Islandy, like these super performance fabrics, we had to get 800 meters minimum of that fabric, which we did. It was about $5 a meter, roughly. And I'd say to get a jacket, that's like 2 meters of fabric. To give you some context, you have to make 400 jackets worth of fabric to make it. And that's like a very specialty fabric from a very specific people. But then you go to someone like AMP who does a shirt fabric. They actually do one of the new valuable shirts. The shirt fabric is excellent. There you can just buy the default colors and options they have by the roll. Sorry, it was APM. And then this literally, this fabric I like, I can go get any of these colors by the roll. A roll is like 80 to 100 meters. So much less than you can get as a minimum. And this is why you see these fabric books go along, because a lot of these fabric books mean something is default, you don't have to go get it made. Versus if I wanted to get my own color of that fabric, then it has to be much higher quantity you go get. So that's why you go work through the fabric. And depending on the quality of that, it's going to be anywhere from like $250 for like a 180 GSM, like lower weight fabric, all the way up to like $6, $7, $8 for really nice fabric per meter. And so that's where a lot of MOQs come from, is how much fabric you can buy, etc., as well as what your manufacturer actually wants to do. And then you have wash houses and nailing washes. So you get the fabric, your manufacturer is able to cut, sew, execute the actual garment that you want to make. And then you want to make sure it has a wash, that it has any of the accoutrements on it that you want. It's a whole nother set of factories you want to make sure are great. And so we're going to visit on this trip. I'll document in a separate video. The person who does like the screen printing and stuff here, because we have a super precise, great team for that. And we're going to some wash houses. But basically, today we accumulated tons and tons and tons of references, and we had even more shipped to the Crease Group facility. And now we're going to put it all on boards. We're going to say we're using this for that. Here's what this cost is. Compare it. Look at those options. Bring samples to the wash houses and talk to them about it, and be able to figure out a plan for everything we want to do with the fabric options we have, and then use that to build out, like ideally, like at least 12 months worth of stuff. So next up, visiting Ju Feng. We can talk a lot about what they do, which is super fascinating in its own way. Appreciate y'all watching.
Zhongda, and then tomorrow we've
been sent to easily 4 or 5 alternate locations, but now I think we're here. We're following her, and we'll see what we actually get to. This is a 420. Look at that wash on it. You can see the colors and pick it out. So that's nice. That's the closest to what I think we were going for. Yeah. What is 40? Yeah. And it's almost like suede. That's nice too. Yeah, everyone thinks that they got offices in like dank shacks and stuff. This is not it. We got the full tech experience.
This is industrial China. This is proper China. Got it.
But it is funny they will call out specific colors. You can see the Fear of God, the Balenciaga, and then these are all just in stock. This is where the blues from the tees that I've been showing, I've been wearing, all the blues come from here. All right, so in this spot, they specialize in getting all the color, right? So along here, you see all these brands. Paul Smith, Palace, Palm Angels, Rick Owens, Sakai, etc. And they just have massive vaults where they've basically gotten all their products. They have them all sitting in here, and they're matching the colors. And they have huge color libraries. So if you actually want to go get a color, it's not about the Pantone. It's about kind of matching what happens. You can go from this collection from Supreme, this from that person, this from whatever, and they give you the whole nine, all happening in the building. And then they have all their different fabrics, etc., that you can pull from. So they actually have like a full color palette that break down the Pantones here. They got the mood boards that they put together, and you can actually literally shop the individual fabrics they got right here. And so just inside the room, you can basically pick any of these colors that they have. They have a whole bunch of these sets. So right now I'm gonna pop this next one. But again, we're gonna roll it straight down the whole board, and boom. You got the options here with all the various kind of fabrics that comes in. And if you do like the fabric but don't want that palette, they got the full listing on there. Yeah. And so this, we had, much like this first knit we had, we were going to do a pant matching the knit, and we are going to do the zip up and another. And so we were going to use this fabric from us. We're going to we'll pull a card from that, and we'll see if we find a color that matches what we were looking for and what their wash house recommendations are. All right, so if I look exhausted, it's because I am exhausted. We are wandering the streets of Guangzhou, hitting meeting to meeting. It takes a lot out of you out here for a couple reasons. The first is there's like 11 things happening at once. People are ripping by on scooters, hauling things, everything's beeping, people are going in all directions. It's, for all intents and purposes, like extremely chaotic. There also is like no texting or driving laws, so you'll basically see people on mopeds like scrolling through their version of TikTok, just like ripping. So you have to have your eyes going at all times, plus the jet lag, plus it's like 97 degrees out. And it seems like everything takes like 3 times as long as it should, but that's all part of it. We're having fun. I am just definitely drained. I want to talk about Ju Feng, which we just showed, and what they do. So that is a fabric-only company. You see all these places I'm posting videos of that have all these garments. Those garments are just to show off the fabric and what it can do. Those aren't actually garments you can purchase or like get tech packs for or anything like that. This is, they purely use that to market the fabric. Ju Feng is a massive fabric provider. So they had 5 showrooms just in this city. We went to like 3 figuring out where our actual meeting was. Our meeting ended up being at their like HQ, sales HQ, which is like, for all intents and purposes, looks like an SF tech company on the inside. We like ate in their cafeteria, super nice spot. And they do like major business in a few ways, and I'll break down. So they are color specialists, color catchers is their name. So they have this huge archive of all these garments from like Loewe, Gucci, Rick Owens, Represent, Palace, Supreme, like anyone you can think of that's like permeated the culture. They have a library of basically every color that they've used that has any level of popularity. They have it, and they have a swatch for it. And why this is important is that you may have experienced, if you try to get something made, you send a Pantone color. That's not actually the color you get like with fabric, and you can't find something very close to it. And so they are basically being like, hey, we can actually get you to anything. And there's 2 sides to that business. One is they have all their own color seasonality. So the same way like WGSN does color reports, if you've seen that, or Pantone does color reports, Ju Feng does color reports, and they have their season, what they think is going to be hot. They have all these multiple mood boards and themes. They are constantly rotating them, and they have a pretty solid pulse on what people are actually ordering based on obviously the data they're getting from the wholesale market. So they actually, in my opinion, probably have a closer tie to the pulse than people who are simply like interpreting the trends, because they can actually look at the sales data, what's being made right now. And you can get that super easily. And they are carrying stock of a bunch of this fabric in a bunch of their default fabrics. But then if you want to, like, that will come relatively quick, right? You can go get that sent to your facility, fast, days. But then if you want to go get one of the colors from their vault, then that's like a couple week process, but then you can get anything. And you can get any of those colors they have default available, or you can get the colors in their vault in this wide range of fabrics they have that cover like all these different shirts. One of the valuable shirts is a Ju Feng shirt. And they just have continual like new fabrics are getting added, etc. So they have this kind of wide option of it. And so it's all like your basics, right? This is hoodies, every kind of weight of hoodies you can imagine, shirts everywhere, weight of basic shirt. They have some like light knits, but pretty solid set. They have blends as well as 100% cotton. But this is the backbone behind just a huge amount of brand are getting fabrics through them, whether they know it or not, whether they're manufacturers just grabbing it or whether they're actually participating in the process. So it was really cool to see how they do it, to look at what colors they think are coming up as we start doing our color story for next year, and to work through some of the needs that we have on different projects with what they have available. And then now know if we ever want to get any color of anything in the world, we can go hunt it down inside that vault. I'll to wrap up with a bit of the logistics of getting to Guangzhou. So we left LA at 1 a.m. on Thursday night / Friday morning. And then we arrived Saturday at about 9 a.m. It was a 14-hour flight from LAX to Hong Kong. And then it's like a 40-minute flight after your layover, etc., from Hong Kong to Guangzhou. I actually really like that flight and leaving in the middle of the night for a few reasons. One is if you sleep at any point, you sleep at the beginning of that flight, which is going to be late night your time, or you sleep at the end of that flight, you're coming in the morning. And so you've already kind of had your rest. You're coming into a fresh day versus leaving midday. You'd be all discombobulated. And then you miss immigration. Like there was no one at the immigration line when we got off in Guangzhou, which during the day can be like hours. So benefit to that flight. We were on Cathay Pacific, which is super nice. I'm definitely too old and too tall to be riding Economy Plus. So we were hitting that business. More expensive, but you're making the most of those days and be at least somewhat fresh. Because I can only imagine with how exhausted I am now if I had that, been trying to make it work the entire time. But to go to China to do this, you could try to go as a tourist, but I got a business visa. You get a business visa by invite from a business partner. And so your manufacturer you work with can give you a letter that basically has their information that they're inviting you there. They use that, you take it to the consulate, leave your passport, and they come back and you have a visa. And as long as it's like a legit filled out letter and you fill out the application already, you can get a business visa that's valid for 10 years. And it's easier than people think. You just have to ask your manufacturer for this letter. They've probably given a bunch of these letters before. It's relatively common, and China's pretty open for business to be able to do that. So it's a pretty straightforward process once you have it. And then logistically, like I'm going with my manufacturing group, right? So the owner of the factory I'm going with, I tagged along and he needed to go out there. I was like, hey, let's plan this together. So I had someone to go out with. I'm going with the art director I work with on a bunch of these, the shoots who works with them, who's done directed some of the shots we've done in China. And then we have then the people that run the factory on the ground who have a solid English, who are running around with us, and you'll see in a bunch of these videos. And I mean, this would be like extremely hard without that. Like you could do it. You can go to all these same places and navigate it. But having someone that speaks the language is incredibly useful. And also like hard to get Didi, which is like their Uber and all that. Like all the apps and everything is like it's way more complicated if you don't have someone there to run you around. But what's nice is like most of the manufacturers are super well out there. Even when we go to Xiamen, the guys from Pietro were like happy to help with anything we need going there. So it's worth taking the time to figure out that facilitation, in my opinion, to be able to like make the most of when you're on a trip like this. But I feel like this was definitely enough content for one video, just going to the Fabric Mart and going to Ju Feng. This is just day one. I don't think we'll do a video every day, but we're headed to leather tomorrow, which will be part of, if not a whole video. I'm just talking about sourcing leather and working through that as I look to get some leather for some new bags. And then we have days at the showrooms, at the screen printers, at the wash houses, seeing new factories, going to footwear. I think we're going to try and be doing some e-commerce shots while I'm here, some photo shoots happening. I'm going to document as much as I humanly can, and we will get into it. Appreciate y'all watching. If you have questions about any things you're seeing, any stuff that's happening, please let me know in the comments. I'll try to address in one of the future vlogs. And as always, thanks for watching.